Okay, so picture a Boeing 777. 300 passengers are on board, they're strapped in, the auxiliary power unit is whining, and the aircraft is, it's ready to push back from the gate.
Right. The tension is high. Everyone just wants to get going.
Exactly. But suddenly, an Amber Alert flashes on the flight deck displays. A mechanical fault.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, does that plane fly or does it stay on the ground? The person who makes that multi-million-dollar call, well, it isn't the pilot in the left seat.
No, definitely not.
And it isn't the airline CEO either. It is an aviation maintenance technician.
Yeah, and that is the exact scenario playing out on tarmacs around the world. I mean, every single minute of the day.
It's crazy to think about.
It really is. And it's a level of authority that most people, they simply don't realize exists out there on the flight line.
So today we're doing a deep dive into a massive stack of Boeing data, FAA advisory circulars, and labor statistics. And we are translating it all for you.
Yes, you, the listener.
Because you are a veteran career and technical education instructor. You're an FAA-certified A&P mechanic. You already know the smell of jet fuel, right? You know the pressure of a logbook sign-off.
But your mission tomorrow morning is to stand in front of a room full of, what, 15 and 16-year-olds? And you have to make them see it, too.
Exactly. We want to help you take all this dense material and build like the ultimate high-energy recruitment pitch for your 10th and 11th graders. Because this isn't just about filling seats in your CTE program.
Far from it. I mean, when you look at the macro data, what you were doing in that classroom it's critical to the global economy.
It really is.
We are looking at an existential threat to the aerospace industry here. The whole system that keeps the world connected is facing a demographic cliff that is, honestly, it's almost hard to comprehend until you look at the raw numbers.
Yeah, the numbers from the CAE 2025 Aviation Talent and Forecast and Boeing's 2025 to 2044 outlook.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack that, Cliff. Because we covered that recent SIA deep dive on the aviation job gap, and the scale is just wild. It's completely unprecedented.
Boeing and Airbus are projecting that the global aviation industry needs to hire around 2.4 million new workers over the next 20 years.
Yeah, 2.4 million.
And specifically for aircraft maintenance technicians, Boeing says the industry needs 710,000 new mechanics globally by 2044.
It is a staggering figure. And the mechanism driving this shortage is basically a perfect storm.
How so?
Well, according to pipeline data, 83% of current U.S. maintenance technicians are expected to retire in the next decade.
Wait, hold on. Back up. 83%.
Yeah, 83%.
That is not a retirement wave. That is an evacuation. I mean, how do you even run an airline, let alone maintain FAA safety standards, if 8 out of 10 experienced eyes on the flight line are packing up their toolboxes and going home?
You barely do. I mean, that is the crisis. You have this massive generation of baby boomers and highly experienced personnel who, they held off retiring during industry lulls.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and that just accelerated the exodus. The training pipelines were bottlenecked for years, and we simply don't have enough young talent backfilling those roles.
So when you walk into your classroom tomorrow, you aren't just pitching a job to these kids.
No, not at all.
You are offering these students a total seller's market. The industry is desperately hungry for their specific skills.
Which gives you, as the instructor, the perfect financial hook for a teenager who is probably already stressing out about their future bank account.
Oh, absolutely. Let's look at the leverage these kids will have. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median pay for avionics technicians right now is $81,390 a year.
That's just the median.
Exactly. The top 10% are pulling in over $120,080.
And that earning power starts almost immediately, too. I mean, the ATEC pipeline report shows the average starting wage for a newly certificated mechanic is $31.58 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and look at giants like Boeing. Their early career aviation maintenance technicians average around $36.17 an hour right now.
So you can literally look your 11th graders in the eye and say, you can bypass the crushing burden of a 4-year college debt, step right onto a hangar floor and be making $36 an hour while your peers are still figuring out their freshman dorms.
Exactly. It's a huge selling point. But, it's not just the money. You have to sell them on the actual scope of the work.
Right.
The BLS data explicitly highlights that mechanics aren't just working on, regional jets. They are maintaining luxury fractional ownership business jets. Think Gulfstreams and Bombardiers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that sector is up 60% since 2019. But more importantly for this generation, the foundational skills of an airframe and power plant certificate apply directly to commercial space transportation vehicles.
Okay, that is the mic drop moment for your classroom.
Totally.
An A&P license is essentially a passport. It doesn't just put you in a greasy garage, it puts you on the launch pad.
Yes.
You could literally be torquing bolts on a SpaceX booster
Yes.
or a Blue Origin vehicle bound for low Earth orbit.
Which perfectly shatters that outdated stereotype of the grease monkey.
Right.
And this is where you really need to pivot your pitch tomorrow. Because when we look at the CAE 2025 Aviation Talent Forecast, the day-to-day reality of a technician has fundamentally transformed. Modern maintenance is highly, highly digital.
Yeah, because that $120,000 top-tier salary isn't just for changing oil and swapping tires.
Yeah, definitely not.
Today's A&P mechanic is essentially a structural engineer, a material scientist, and an IT professional all rolled into one. They are dealing with fiber optics, advanced carbon composites, and complex glass cockpits.
The tool belt has just fundamentally changed. I mean, the CAE report details how artificial intelligence and machine learning are now heavily integrated into airline operations for predictive maintenance.
Okay, so how does that actually work in practice? Are they just plugging a laptop into the plane like a mechanic, checking a check engine light on a Honda Civic?
No, it is vastly more sophisticated than that. Imagine the aircraft has an incredibly sensitive digital nervous system. As a modern jet flies, thousands of sensors are constantly streaming telemetry data back to the ground.
Okay.
So instead of waiting for a component to break, which, causes slight delays and massive revenue loss, AI algorithms are analyzing this data in real time.
Wow.
They are looking for micro vibrations in an engine bearing or tiny thermal anomalies in an avionics bay. The AI can actually predict a failure once before a human would ever feel or see the symptom.
Okay, let me stop you right there and play devil's advocate for a second, because there's always going to be that one smart 11th grader in the back row who raises their hand and asks, if the AI is predicting all the failures and doing all the heavy lifting, aren't you recruiting me into a job that a robotic arm will be doing in 10 years?
It is a brilliant question,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one you, as the instructor, need to be ready for. But the answer is a definitive no. AI and machine learning are incredible tools for human oversight and predictive modeling. They find the needle in the haystack, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the execution, when you actually have to crawl into the aft equipment bay of a 737 to inspect a damaged bulkhead,
Yeah.
or when you are performing a complex vacuum bag composite layup on a carbon fiber wing,
Yeah.
there is absolutely no robot capable of that level of dynamic, tactile precision.
So the AI essentially says, hey, there's a microscopic fracture starting right here. But it still takes a highly trained human being with an FAA license to actually assess it, grind it out, and repair it structurally.
Precisely. The technology does not replace the mechanic. It vastly increases the complexity and the criticality of the mechanic's job. The tech makes the human more capable.
That makes total sense.
And to get them to that level, the training itself has completely evolved. You don't just hand a kid a stack of paper diagrams anymore. The industry is using immersive virtual reality environments and digital twins.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a student can put on a headset and practice a teardown of a jet engine in a mixed reality environment long before they ever touch the multi-million-dollar live asset.
See, that is going to hook the gamers in your classroom instantly.
Oh, for sure.
But we can't just talk about the shiny tech, right? You have to ground this in the pressure of the job. You need a scenario to drop on your class tomorrow morning to wake them up and show them the zero-error stakes.
Yes. And this is where you bring in the FAA's Advisory Circular 9167A.
Okay.
This circular governs minimum equipment requirements.
Yes. Let's go back to our opening scenario. The Boeing 777 on the tarmac. You tell your students to picture the scene. 250 passengers, the doors are closed.
A jet bridge pulls away.
Right. The pilots are running their final checks, and an instrument fails. Let's make it a thrust reverser fault on the right engine.
Oh, this is a phenomenal example because it perfectly highlights the mechanical reality and the legal authority.
So explain the mechanism for us. Why is a thrust reverser fault such a big deal?
Well, a thrust reverser is a critical deceleration system. When the plane touches down, cowl doors open and blocker doors deploy inside the engine. They physically redirect the massive bypass air from the fan forward instead of backward.
Okay, so it pushes the air the wrong way to slow it down.
Exactly. It acts like a massive aerodynamic brake. If that system deploys uncommanded midair, the asymmetric drag is catastrophic.
Wow.
And on the flip side, if it fails to deploy on landing, you risk overrunning the runway.
So the amber light flashes in the cockpit. The pilots can't fix it. They call the maintenance technician.
Right.
So you ask your class, what happens next? Does the airline cancel the flight, ruin 250 vacations, and lose hundreds of thousands of dollars? Or do they fly anyway and risk a disaster?
And this is the exact mystery your students need to understand. Because when the technician arrives on the flight deck, they don't just guess.
Right.
They initiate a highly structured decision sequence. First, communicating with the pilot in command, they consult the MAL, the minimum equipment list. Yeah. This is a massive FAA-approved legal document specific to that exact aircraft type. And it dictates exactly what can and cannot be broken for the plane to legally fly.
It's not just a simple yes or no checklist, though, is it?
No, not at all. The FAA requires a rapid but comprehensive safety risk analysis. The technician and the crew must evaluate the environment.
Like the weather.
Exactly. Are they flying to Chicago in a blizzard? If so, the runway is slick, braking action is poor, and they absolutely need that thrust reverser. The plane is grounded.
Got it.
But what if they're flying to Phoenix on a dry, 2-mile-long runway?
So they might not need it.
Right. The technician has to evaluate weather, night operations, diversion airports, and crew workload. If the analysis shows the flight can safely proceed without that reverser, well, the technician's deep systemic knowledge basically saves the flight.
But how do they actually fix it on the spot? I mean, they don't have time to replace the whole unit right there at the gate.
They don't. Following the manufacturer's maintenance manual, the technician will actually go out to the engine and physically lock out the affected thrust reverser.
Mock it out.
Yeah, they mechanically pin the blocker doors so it is impossible for them to deploy. It completely neutralizes the risk of an uncommanded deployment mid-flight.
That is brilliant. So they eliminate the danger by disabling the system safely.
Yes. And then they ensure the flight crew applies the appropriate takeoff and landing performance penalties, basically calculating the longer stopping distance required using only the wheel brakes and spoilers.
Right.
Then the technician securely placards the item in the cockpit, so the crew is constantly aware of the deferred maintenance.
Okay.
And finally, the technician signs the logbook, legally clearing that multi-million-dollar asset to return to service.
That signature, I mean, that is the moment you really emphasize to your students. You tell them, you know, when you sign that logbook, you are putting your legal liability or license and your reputation on the line to say that aircraft is safe. They hold the authority to ground the plane or send it into the sky. It is just an immense amount of power.
Which perfectly transitions into the hands-on activity.
Yeah.
You've given them the theoretical stakes, right? Now you have to let them feel the physical reality of that zero-error precision.
Yes. So we suggest a 20-minute classroom activity rooted in the FAA's AC 4312A preventative maintenance guidelines.
Which is perfect.
And it doesn't need to be overly complex either. If you have the materials, a basic safety wire exercise is fantastic. Or, you know, an interactive find the fault engine schematic.
Safety wiring is an excellent choice, though, because it introduces sensory details they have probably never experienced.
Yeah.
But you must establish the rules of the game immediately.
Right. Set the tone.
Detail the strict parameters of AC 4312A. They must use the proper tools, safety wire, pliers, wire snippers. They must rely strictly on the simulated manufacturer's manual you provide. No guessing. No improvising.
So explain to the listener exactly what that safety wire process feels like, just so they can describe it to their students. Why are we even twisting wire around bolts in the first place?
Well, an aircraft engine is an environment of extreme thermal stress and high-frequency vibration. A standard nut and bolt will eventually just back out and vibrate loose.
Makes sense.
To prevent this, mechanics thread stainless steel wire through tiny holes drilled into the heads of the fasteners. Then they twist the wire between them so that if one bolt tries to loosen, it actually pulls the wire tighter against the other bolt.
So it's a fail-safe mechanism.
Exactly. And the tactile sensation of doing it correctly is incredibly specific. You clamp the pliers, pull the mechanism, and the tool spins, twisting the wire into a tight pigtail.
Sounds satisfying.
It is, but here is the catch, and this is what you tell the students. If you twist it too tightly, the wire will snap under thermal expansion when the engine gets hot.
Oh.
But if you twist it too loosely, it won't hold the tension and the bolt backs out anyway. It has to be between 6 and 8 twists per inch.
Exactly. Wow. And the FAA's golden rule for this, which comes directly from the circular, is that any work performed must ensure the item is, quote, at least equal to its original condition.
At least equal, never less.
Think of it like a high-stakes medical operation. We aren't just fixing a machine. We were performing surgery on a vital system where, well, good enough is never an option.
Never.
If a surgeon leaves a sponge in a patient, it's a catastrophic malpractice suit. If a mechanic leaves a tool inside an engine cowling or doesn't twist that safety wire to the exact specification, it can bring down a jetliner.
It really elevates the trade from a blue-collar stereotype to a true precision science.
Yes.
And once your students succeed at this 20-minute activity, once they feel that perfect tension on the wire, the little rush of getting it exactly right, that is when you reveal the pathway forward.
You give them the roadmap.
You explain how they can actually achieve this career.
You.
According to the FAA guidelines, there are two primary paths. They can pursue 18 to 30 months of on-the-job training, logging, practical experience under the direct supervision of a licensed mechanic.
Okay. Or, which is the more common route, they can attend a Part 147 Aviation Maintenance Technician School.
And when you say Part 147 to a teenager, frame it so they understand it. Tell them it's not just a community college class. It is an FAA-sanctioned training academy where every single hour they log actually counts toward their federal licensure.
It is intensive, regulated training. And, you should also mention that the military offers incredible pathways through the Joint Service Aviation Maintenance Technician Certification Council.
Oh, that's a great point.
They can serve their country and come out with the exact same civilian credentials.
Okay, so you've given them the dream, you've let them feel the pressure of the wrench in their hand, and you've handed them the map. Now, how do you close the presentation? You need a final thought that sticks with them when the bell rings.
The closing thought really needs to synthesize the entire mission of the profession.
Here's a concept you could feed right to your classroom. Tell them to picture the last time they flew, or the last time they looked up and saw a contrail cutting across the sky.
The passengers inside that cabin sipping their sodas and looking out the window at the clouds are completely oblivious to the intense, calculated precision that put them up there.
They have no idea.
Right. They don't think about the microscopic thermal anomalies or the pinned thrust reversers or the 6 to 8 twists per inch on a safety wire.
Because they don't have to. The technicians are the trained professionals standing in the shadow of the hangar. They're the silent heroes of the sky, ensuring the safety and efficiency of every single flight, long before the pilot ever turns the key.
The silent heroes. I love that.
If we pull back and look at this entire deep dive from the 2.4 million job gap to the complex physics of a thrust reverser, the core reality is that this knowledge is only valuable when it is applied.
Right.
By taking these dense labor statistics and regulatory frameworks and giving your students the tangible mechanical why behind them, you are doing something profound. You are literally building the next generation of the aviation workforce.
So, as you finalize your lesson plan and get ready to face those 10th and 11th graders tomorrow, we want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
What's that?
Well, consider this. The North American commercial fleet is expected to grow by 20% over the next decade. Technology is evolving at breakneck speed, with predictive AI and mixed reality training rapidly becoming the baseline standard.
The landscape is shifting under our feet.
It is. So, what will the A&P curriculum look like in 2035?
That's a good question.
Think back to our opening scenario. Diagnosing a complex fault is rarely as simple as looking at an X-ray of a broken bone. It requires navigating murky, high-stakes variables.
Right.
Well, these very students you are recruiting today, the ones you are teaching, to navigate the meticulous zero-error rules of current FAA regulations, be the exact same mechanics adapting those rules for the first fully autonomous passenger aircraft.
Oh, wow.
Or perhaps maintaining the life support systems on a commercial space station in low Earth orbit. You aren't just teaching them to fix today's planes. You are giving them the tools to engineer tomorrow's reality.